Good evening, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, evening headlines on December 1, 2022. Indonesian collective at heart of anti-Semitism row top art world power list. The Guardian, biennial curators and unions, top this year's art review, Power 100 list. I am grateful to Trump for one thing: mainstreaming, gaslighting. The Guardian, Merriam-Webster's 2022's word of the year, gaslighting. MSNBC, gaslighting, all you need to know about Merriam-Webster's word of the year. The Indian Express, opinion, the lost meaning of gaslighting is an alarm bell, constantly ringing. Body of girl, 5, found in concrete block used as bedside table by mother in Buenos Aires. Ukraine faces humanitarian catastrophe, says Archbishop of Canterbury. BBC, Archbishop of Canterbury praises Ukraine on historic visit to Kyiv. The Times, Archbishop of Canterbury praises Ukrainian people in Kyiv visit. Evening Standard, King Charles opens welcome center for Ukrainian refugees. NBC News, Britain pledges more ambulances for Ukraine during minister's visit. Escape of Taronga Zoo lions in Sydney caught on camera. Lifting of lockdowns in major Chinese cities signals shift in COVID stance after wave of protests. Sky News, China softens COVID stance after protests, clashes with police. Al Jazeera English, watch, Chinese megacity lifts lockdown after clashes with hazmat-wearing COVID wardens. The Telegraph, COVID restrictions lifted in Guangzhou and Chongqing after China protests. The Guardian, China enters new stage in coronavirus approach, easing restrictions, DW News. Islamic State leader blew himself up after being surrounded, Syrian fighter says. Sky News, Islamic State group announces death of leader, appoints successor, International News, Top News. WION, Abu al-Hassan al-Quraishi, announces leader's death and names replacement. BBC, third Islamic State leader killed in battle. The Guardian, Syria, Islamic State says leader killed in October operation. Mauna Loa eruption, latest, lava from erupting volcano edges closer to Hawaiian highway. The Independent, Hawaii's Mauna Loa volcano lava seen from space, BBC News. BBC News, thousands flock to world's largest volcano for a selfie during eruption. France backs plans for tribunal for Russian officials over Ukraine war. The Guardian, frozen Russian assets could be used to rebuild Ukraine, says EU chief. The Independent, EU eyes special court to try Russia for Ukraine war. The Moscow Times, EU pushes for special tribunal over Ukraine. Foreign policy, EU plans to set up a new court to prosecute Russia's war on Ukraine, but there's a mixed record on holding leaders like Putin accountable for waging wars. Jiang Zemin death, Cloaking Xi dissent in nostalgia for a different China. BBC, former Chinese leader Jiang Zemin dies aged 96. BBC News. BBC News, China's super apps and media mourn Jiang Zemin with black and white tribute. Financial Times, Jiang Zemin may inspire nostalgia in China but not for democracy. Bloomberg, China protests. With Jiang Zemin's death, Xi can't risk a repeat of the past. Spain letter bombs, Spanish PM targeted amid spate of explosive packages. BBC, man injured in explosion at Ukraine embassy in Madrid. The Guardian, US embassy receives suspicious package after spate of letter bombs across Spain. The Telegraph, Spain ramps up security after 5 letter bombs detected. Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, Spain tightens security after letter bombs found at government buildings. At least 2 dead and dozens missing after landslide engulfs motorway in Brazil. Sky News, drone footage captures devastation caused by deadly landslide in Brazil. The Independent, deadly landslide engulfs motorway in Brazil. BBC, giant mudslide wipes out motorway in Brazil. The Telegraph, 2 dead, dozens missing after landslide on motorway in Brazil. Ramaphosa delays parliament appearance over Farmgate corruption scandal. The Guardian, South African president faces threat of impeachment over Farmgate. BBC News. BBC News, Cyril Ramaphosa, South African president faces threat of impeachment over Farmgate. BBC, Fala farm scandal could sink South Africa President Ramaphosa, quick take. Bloomberg, Musi Maimane, Ramaphosa created the conditions that led to this crisis. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.